Hey y'all, I'm Holly.
And I'm Pearl, and this is Hold My Sweet Tea. Welcome to Hold My Sweet Tea, the podcast where we sip tea and uncover hidden secrets and chilling crimes lurking beneath the surface of Southern hospitality.
You had me at hospitality, along with spooky tales and haunted history that give the South its eerie charm.
So, now that you're Jerry Maguiring me,
hospitality.
You had me at hospitality. That's a new one. What'd you do this weekend?
I cleaned out my closet. And, not all the skeletons, but a few of them.
You are now rivaling Eminent.
Yes, cleaning out my closet. But I, just did a deep dive in there, pulled everything out. My room was a disaster, but I got my closet cleaned and it's just lovely now. And I even color coded all of my clothes because that's the kind of weirdo I am.
Color-coded closet weirdo.
Yes.
Great.
I love it though. I walk in there and I'm like, this looks awesome.
Yeah. And it would only look awesome for 5 minutes at my house.
What about your weekend?
So, not as fun as yours. I actually was doing sanitation clips on my dogs. Been doing those things for 15 years now.
Yeah.
And was doing my little Maltese honey. And my daughter's dog decided to take a running dash at me. And I saw him coming and I'm pulling the clipper away because I'm doing the booty.
Oh no.
And he slammed into my elbow and I nicked her butthole a bit. She has the tiniest little bobo on her tiny little butthole.
Oh my goodness.
Thankfully, she's fine. She didn't react like it really hurt her, but I was so upset. And I was apologizing all night long. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it.
So, closet cleanouts and clipping buttholes. There we go.
Yeah, that was the weekend. That's well, and I edited.
Yeah.
And mixed.
Right. And
episodes,
by the time you're hearing this, we will have had our first full episode out, and we are so excited. Pearl uploaded our Get to Know Me. I actually squealed. I was like, oh, we're on Spotify.
Yeah, we'll be on Apple Music at some point. We're still waiting for them to do
and Amazon Music too.
To do their approval process, but we are on Spotify.
Well, hopefully by the time we release these on the 14th, then we, might be on there. So
we're on a whole bunch of stuff. Which, if you go to our website at holdmysweettea.com, they're all right there on the side. There's a little thing you can click for more. It's got Spotify listed and all the other places that we're already in the directory for.
Absolutely.
Plus, you could always just listen right there if you want.
Yep. You can listen to us in lots of places, and we're so happy. I'm excited.
Me too.
So today is one of our mini-sode episodes. So I'm going to kind of follow my first case, Beatrice Routh, and I'm going to kind of go through the legal process of how jury selection is done and what types of juries there are, since this case had, it
went to the grand jury first.
It went to the grand jury first. So it was a kidnapping, it was sexual assault, and it was murder. So those are all things that go to grand jury. So the American justice system utilizes two types of juries, which are grand juries and trial juries, which are also known as petite juries. While both involve citizens performing a civic duty, their roles and processes differ significantly. The role of the grand jury, and I personally have been on a grand jury, and I would definitely want to do it again. It was, I wouldn't say thrilling, but just to be able to hear all these cases and come across, and then you're the deciding factor whether they go to trial or not.
Yeah.
Whether you say it's a true bill, or we just knock it out. Because I remember there was a couple that we knocked out. There wasn't enough evidence, there wasn't enough substantial stuff to put this person through that.
Well, not just that. I mean, once they're tried and found not guilty, that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
You can't try them again for the same crime. So,
nope, not at all. It was very interesting. And when you're on grand jury, so they usually pick on the federal level, I think it's 16 to 23 people, but on more of a local level, 12 to 15. So you can be on a grand jury for 1 to up to 18 months.
Goodness.
So they will usually group together depending on the area you're in. I was in a smaller area, so it was 3 or 4 cases they would group together, and we would come in once a month or once every other month and do those cases. So it was really interesting. Lots of sexual assault cases, which were sad, and the murder cases were interesting because you get to hear all the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah. And grand juries, they get to still talk to the investigators and all that.
Right. So you're in there with the prosecutor. They're presenting all of the evidence.
Mm-hmm.
And then they give witness testimonies, and they will go through all of the legal books and tell you what everything means each time. So if let's say there was in Beatrice's case, sexual assault against a minor, which is under 13, so statutory rape, they would go through and they would read the whole process again. So everybody understood exactly what that was. So that way you'll know that this was, this type, or was it a sexual assault on somebody older, or there's a whole lot of difference. So they really walk you through it when you're on the grand jury. So they present all this evidence. We even had people come in and talk to us. Some of the people that were affected, there was a child that came in and talked to us, and there was not a dry eye in the room when she left.
I bet not.
We all sat there and cried. So once the grand jury deliberates, and it's a secret thing, so you're not like a regular jury, you're not out there and people know who you are. It's in secret. So we met in the DA's office. There was a big table. It was all under wraps. So once they deliberate, the majority usually rules it's at least 2/3. And then once they find significant evidence, they issue an indictment, also known as a true bill. If not, then they issue a no bill, and the case does not proceed to trial. So they're kind of the determining factor in most felony cases.
They're first order of business grand jury for those cases anyway. Gotcha.
And I would love to receive a letter saying, "Hey, you've got grand jury duty." I'd be like, "Yes, pick me." Again, yes.
Yay.
But it's been years, so I'm sure a lot of things are different, but it was so interesting. I loved it.
Yeah, I've actually not gotten grand jury duty or even regular jury duty yet.
I did get a letter last year, and I called the night before and they had canceled it. So, but it was regular jury duty. It wasn't grand. But
yeah,
I think I would still find that interesting as well. A lot of people dread it, but me being me,
right.
I would want to do it.
Our interests
right.
would drive us to want to do it.
Right.
Let's check this out.
Grand juries, like I said, are typically felony cases where the potential punishment is severe. They may also be used in other criminal cases at the prosecutor's discretion. So, we're sending people up the river. But we're
Or
sending
home.
right, or home. But we're sending people to the courtroom, so then
Yeah.
the regular jury or petite jury can do their parts. The regular jury, their role is to listen to evidence presented by both the prosecution and the defense in the trial. So criminal or civil, they're listening to both sides. Grand jury, you only listen to one side. The defense does not make a case in grand jury.
Sure.
And then they render a verdict of guilty or not guilty in a criminal case, or determine like liability and damages in a civil case.
Mm-hmm.
The selection for potential jurors, they're selected from the community and questioned by both sides to ensure impartiality. We were literally pulled out of a hat, like literally. They put everybody's name in a hat and drew names.
That's crazy.
And then they were like, is there a reason you can't serve?
Yeah.
And people would say stuff and they're like, nope, not good enough reason.
Yeah. Sorry, you're stuck. Buddy.
Right. I was like, wow, I'm not getting out of this. And then I was like, oh, I love this.
So something I learned,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to tell anybody why I learned it. It wasn't me personally in this position. But I also learned that apparently lie detector tests that are taken, like any polygraph taken, can be presented to a grand jury, but can never see the light of day with a regular jury because they're inadmissible in the actual case. But can totally be considered when you're trying to decide whether or not you're sending this case to court.
Yes, because that's prosecutor will gather all that and be like, here's all this stuff. We also did a lie detector test, a polygraph, and this is what happened and da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
That helps you determine things. And they sit and pass around pictures and documents and all kinds of stuff. So you get to see it all. But
and then the regular jury gets to see most of it.
Right. Somebody's, grandpa jumping over the thing and beating somebody up. No. I saw a case like that the other day. And I was like, the guy killed this girl and it was her uncle, and he jumped over and started like wailing on this guy, and then his father jumped in, and then the guy on trial's father jumped in, and they were all like brawling right there in the courtroom.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, wow.
Yeah, that's
the
crazy.
Violence. Now you all get to go to jail.
Right? I'm like, you didn't really think that one through.
Yeah.
You're definitely guilty of assault.
I don't think they'd put him in the same jail, though.
No. No, that would be a poor idea.
Right. So unlike the grand jury trial, which is private, nobody knows about it, the regular jury trial is open to the public. So both sides present evidence, witnesses make legal arguments, all the stuff that you normally see on TV when they're like, objection, and all that stuff.
Overruled.
Overruled. That is a blatant lie. You could see all that cool stuff.
Yeah.
So, and then there's a deliberation in the verdict. So the jury deliberates in secret and must reach a unanimous verdict, unlike grand jury, which is at least 2/3. So they have to be unanimous. In most criminal cases. In civil cases, they required majority, and it may vary. So something, like he stole my chickens, and I know they're my chickens because they had a tag on their foot or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like just those type of cases, they just have to be like,
all my chickens have crooked beaks.
That's not my chicken. My chicken had a crooked beak. So trial juries are used in both criminal and civil cases. Criminal cases involve the government prosecuting an individual for violating the law. Civil cases involve disputes between individuals or entities, such as contract disputes or personal injury claims or chickens. But I think that's more small claims court.
Right. I think it depends how much those chickens were worth.
I mean, the price of eggs right now, they're probably worth more than gold.
I mean, they over a certain amount. I think you've priced yourself out of small claims.
Right. I think they're probably like high dollar, as long as they don't have the bird flu.
Right. Nobody cares about the crooked beak.
Right.
It's fine.
Key differences, like from a trial jury, like determining probable cause, not guilty. The grand jury, like I said, decides if there's enough evidence to go to trial.
And that's basically it. They're not like going, oh, guilty or not guilty. They're just like, there's enough here. You can take it and try. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So like, and then they have like the lower burden of proof, which is the standard is probable cause, which is lower than the beyond a reasonable doubt standard used at trial. And there's no judge in the grand jury proceedings. It's just the prosecutor, and he'll bring in maybe somebody to help him or something like that. But
or like the child you guys
the witnesses and stuff. Yeah, they'll come in. And also important to note that grand juries can subpoena witnesses and documents. So if we're like, you know what, I want to talk to this person because we're not sure. Yeah. And we want to bring them in and see this evidence, or we want to talk to this witness, you can subpoena them. And usually that's like, okay, well, we'll have to break and then we have to come back another time to do that. Because the grand jury operates independently of the judge and prosecutor. But if you're in court, then they could subpoena somebody to court, but they have to be in front of the judge and all that stuff. But the grand jury system is meant to be a check on the government's power to prosecute, ensuring that charges are based on significant evidence. The jury's there to do its duty.
Yeah. That's why it's called jury duty.
Yep. Samples of things would be like violent crimes like homicide, assault and battery, sexual offenses, kidnapping, robbery, property crimes like grand theft or larceny, burglary, arson, fraud, embezzlement, all those fun things. And drug offenses, trafficking, manufacturing, possession, white collar crimes. So,
red light tickets. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. White collar crimes like money laundering, tax evasion, fraud. It's just a whole slew of things.
Yeah, they get to do all the fun stuff. Oh, cool.
So that was kind of my little mini episode, and I just wanted to hit on, because of what had happened in my previous story, kind of led on to that. Right. And that, when I looked that up, that the court documents for the Donald Leroy Evans, Beatrice Routh's case was thick. Yeah. There was a lot of stuff. But he decided for a little while, because he didn't like the way the lawyers were saying things, he wanted to represent himself, which most arrogant, people who think they know everything, which, he thought he knew everything. And he was a con man, decided to represent himself. So,
of course. Yeah. Because he thought he could talk his way out of it. That's all that was.
Yep. And so he kept
and let's be real, most attorneys don't let you get up and testify.
No.
When you're a defendant, on purpose.
Yeah. And it was said that he did have above average intelligence and everything. Yes. He was tested above average. He was good at his game because he could manipulate people and smooth talk them and con them into things. So he had come up with several things in his trial that he would, oh, no, we need to check this. We need to check this. This was said and that wasn't right. So he nitpicked a lot, but it was a pretty thick-em.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad it turned out the way it should. Yes. So that's all that mattered there.
Yes. It's sad for what happened to Beatrice, but
yeah, definitely.
I think he got what he deserved and she got justice for that. Like, even though she was gone.
For sure. Her mama needed a little more serious punishment, in my opinion. But hey,
she took a deal and got off early, so I don't think that was fair. And I really hope that her other child was taken far, far away.
Yeah. I can't imagine they would have allowed her to keep any more children ever.
No. That was awful.
Well, good deal.
Yeah. And so I hope everybody kind of found this a little, my ramblings, a little educational and informative and helpful if you had any questions about trial things. Because I honestly, when I went for grand jury, I didn't even know that there was 2 juries. I thought it was just one. I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
that was like I said, like probably 12 or 13 years ago, something like that. So I was like,
Right. And then
But
you realize, oh, this is
yeah.
fantastic.
And then the more you know, it's like, woo-hoo.
Don't get the Reading Rainbow song stuck in my head.
Right.
Because that's where I run to every time I hear The More You Know.
The Reading Rainbow. We are having so much fun doing these episodes, and we are excited for everybody to hear them. And we really, really, really would like feedback on everything. If you think I need to talk louder or I talk too much.
Right. Or you're like, you guys sound like turkeys when you laugh. We're okay with that too.
Yeah, my dad used to say we sounded like turkeys when we were younger, and we'd be in my bedroom, and he's like, a bunch of turkeys in there going.
My favorite thing is he told you that he couldn't understand me when I would talk to him, so he would just smile and nod his head. And then I tell you the same exact thing.
Right.
I have no idea what your dad says. So I just smile and nod my head.
Perfect.
So we just stood around smiling and nodding our heads at each other.
That's funny.
Oh, goodness. Well, awesome.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Yep.
Thanking you for joining us on Hold My Sweet Tea. All sources used to create this episode can be found in the show notes. The music for this episode was created by Patty Salzetta. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a review. You can follow us on Facebook. It's Hold My Sweet Tea. On Instagram at holdmysweettea_podcast. On TikTok at Hold My Sweet Tea Podcast. On the interwebs, it's holdmysweettea.com. And we have a YouTube channel, and that's at Hold My Sweet Tea Podcast. If you have a case you would like to be covered, or even a ghost story or a cool piece of Southern folklore, please email us. And this is also where you can send feedback as well. It's steeped, STEEPED at holdmysweettea.com.
That's right. So follow us everywhere so you don't miss a single thing. Hold My Sweet Tea is a Drunken Bee production. Y'all remember to stay safe out there, and just because we're dipping doesn't mean y'all can't keep sipping. Bye.